All right, everybody, welcome back to Ringside right now. You hear the bell? You know we're ringside right now. You know I'm with the crew as always, is Clint and Curtis. And fellas, we had an interesting I guess weekend going into Monday as well. So I and Wednesday, of course. So I'll let you guys get into it with how you want to start it off.
I'm gonna start off with two words: poor Sammy. I feel
Man.
bad for him. I really do. You can say what you want. There were people who were happy about him winning. There are people who weren't happy. People who were happy about Punk. Whatever. Poor Sammy.
You can say for Sammy, but I'll say go Kenny because that was a banger of a match. I expected that,
Man,
but I
man,
did
that
not
was.
expect the finish. I thought this was going to be another opponent which MJF was going to put to the side and kind of do him like Old Yeller, but somehow, some way, Kenny Omega did it.
I mean, I wondered how they would book Kenny if he did lose that match. I wonder still how they're going to book Hangman because we haven't seen him yet. But I'm glad he won it. My question now is he going to keep it till All In, or is something else going to go on? Is there going to be another title change, or we're going to do a triple threat at All In, or is it just going to be straight up Kenny versus Ospreay? Which
Well,
I'm
from
cool with that.
Well, from the tweets that MJF had after the match, and we did talk about this before we went on air, but I'm not sure if this is a legitimate injury or if he's just being an old school heel and complaining about his knee injury, which, by the way, he's actually 30.
Well, I know that there were reports that he had an injury going in, he had that leg injury going in or knee injury going into that match. So he could be playing up on that. Max is going to do what Max does as far as being a classic old school heel. So of course, putting the blame on, I had an injury. That's the only reason why.
Yeah,
But at the
exactly.
same time, if, with the rumors of it being Osprey versus MJF at All In London, you figure how you were going to get that based on Osprey after the match he had with Swerve and MJF getting the title back. He was like, and especially after the team match, how was this going to play out to them two getting a match at All In? And then, of course, they answered that question as usual.
Exactly. My thing is, I was really looking forward to Osprey versus MJF. Now, Osprey versus Omega is going to be a better match action wise. We're going to get a New Japan style match there. It's going to be a banger. I said that Osprey and Swerve was the match of the year. I may have to take that back. We'll see. But even with that said, I was still looking forward to MJF versus Osprey, so we get that whole face heel dynamic. So the crowd in London really has someone to boo against and someone they really hate, and add more reason for one Osprey to win. Of course, she's the hometown hero, but you got this asshole heel in MJF that's just going to make you want Osprey to win even more. So I wonder what kind of ovation Omega is going to get in London. Are they going to boo him? Is it going to be half and half? I mean, I know they're going to be behind Osprey, but how are they going to feel towards, Omega?
I think it's going to be half and half because I think a lot of people will cheer out of respect, kind of like how Ric Flair was during a lot of his later times. I mean, he could be the biggest heel at that time, but they're still going to cheer him because, hey, this is Ric Flair. We respect this guy. But I think it'll be half and half for Kenny Omega. And at the rate these guys are going, and the levels they have performed time and time again, we could say that this is the match of the year, and then next thing you know, 2 months later, we're taking that all the way back, and now probably, for all we know, could end up being like the fifth best match of the year, which wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah, I made a mistake that you shouldn't make with AEW pay-per-views and calling something match of the year too soon, because they're going to throw another banger, 3 months later. Every AEW pay-per-view delivers, and if they're trying to beat attendance records and put on a hell of a show, then they're going to go out and do something crazy. So,
Well,
but we still shouldn't figure Osprey Swerve, because good Lord.
yeah, and as far as attendance, and it's funny you bring that up they're definitely going in a much better direction in WWE right now because as of the latest attendance for SummerSlam, we're looking at about 22,000 people in for both days in an arena that is probably perhaps 70,000 strong.
Sorry,
So
did you say 20,000?
20,000,
22?
22,000,
What
two,
are the
two.
Wow.
what are the ticket prices? Do we know? Does anyone have ticket prices?
Do I need to?
That
Do you
I mean
really
it's
need to ask? Do you really
okay.
need to ask?
Okay. All right.
So, but
No, I don't.
basically, they're going in a much different direction, and I really hate it, and I really hate that for WWE because they're gonna put on a good card. Triple H knows how to put on great cards, but the problem is with the way booking is, and of course TKO getting involved. Whew, we
The
could
the booking isn't so much the problem anymore. Um, yeah, I'm curious what direction they're going to go in because you had Sammy have the surprise win, and then you had the surprise return of CM Punk and the surprise loss, losing the belt. Well, I mean, once I saw CM Punk come out, I kind of figured he was losing that belt, but I'm curious where they're going. Are they going towards Punk and Cody at SummerSlam?
Well, I mean, I know there were reports saying that Punk winning the WWE Championship was actually a year in the making. So they had booked that last year about him winning the title. I mean, of course, the circumstances probably changed who he was going to, beat for the title, because clearly Sammy winning at in Saudi was strictly for the Saudi crowd. Just
And
like
him
Punk
winning it
winning was
in
was
Chicago
strictly a
was
Chicago crowd. But this definitely screams TKO all over. And now that you mentioned about the ticket sales already being not anywhere close to what they want, I think them wanting Punk to win the title immediately was supposed to quote unquote help boost the sales, especially Chicago people going to Minnesota's not that far away. So you can get some of the Chicago crowd to come to Minnesota for it. But maybe it was a little too too much ambitious to try to do 2 nights for SummerSlam. They should have just kept it at the one. You line up 7 solid matches for that one night pay per view, and I
well.
bet you would have had a lot better sales.
They're still going with Vince's vision because Vince at one point said that he wanted SummerSlam to be the WrestleMania of the summer. Um, I don't. I mean, it's a huge event. It's one of the big four, but I don't think you should try to have another SummerSlam. I don't think any other event other than sorry, you shouldn't have another WrestleMania. Rather, I don't think any event other than WrestleMania should be 2 nights because
And even in
if
at times, WrestleMania being 2 nights pushes it.
exactly, and because if SummerSlam's 2 nights, then what makes WrestleMania so special?
exactly. And there have been talks about making the Royal Rumble 2 nights, and
No,
we don't need
please
that.
don't. No, no.
No,
I mean, the pacing is
but
already good enough for the one night, and look, TKO. I know you're trying to get out of the hole here, but let's not get greedy, okay? To the point where we're just making these crazy decisions. I mean, you're already raising the prices to ridiculous levels, and then you're also just turning people off as far and just shutting the whole families out. That's your cash cow. That has been
Exactly.
WWE's cash cow for decades. They want to bring the families over, and if you can afford the family, you can get their money. I mean, it's a simple business acumen that has worked. Why would you go away from that?
Because I mean, I'm a parent, and I'll say it like this: if WWE is, let's say Raw is coming to town, and tickets are pretty high, and I can afford one ticket, and that's for myself. Well, I've got a son who wants to go. I've got a daughter who's want to go, just to, see the lights and see the whole spectacle of it. If they can't go, I'm not going to go. If I can't afford to bring my kids with me, I'm not going. Now, before I had kids, that wasn't a problem. But, if you're a longtime fan, you've been watching since you were a kid, and now you've grown up with WWE, and you have your own family, you want to take your kids to the show, that's going to lose some buyers right there. If I can't take my kids with me because the prices are too high, then I will sit with my kids at home and watch it.
I mean, the thing is, that's the reason why you push merchandise so much. You push the
Exactly.
merchandise so that way the kids will be like, "Oh, I got this, I got that. Oh, they're coming to town too. I get the chance to wear this to the show," and
Exactly.
and that's how you
Absolutely.
pull in more
Exactly.
money. So,
On the other hand, the last time AEW came to our town, I went, my wife went, the kids went, they brought friends, my niece came with us. It was a whole truckload of us because the tickets were affordable. I'm not saying they were cheap, but they were affordable. And hey, it's a big wrestling show. Let's all go enjoy as a family. But we could afford to do that, and you can't afford to do that with WWE anymore. Why are the ticket prices so crazy? You can have sellouts every night. Let me ask you this: would you rather have 100 people buy $800 tickets or 1,000 people buy $80 tickets?
well, of course, you want the latter, but at the same time,
Exactly.
the partners of TKO going into it were already what, 8 billion
Plus,
in the hole.
oh good lord, plus you want
I thought
a
there were
full
trillions
house.
starting off.
I think so, yeah. But you want a full house on TV to make your show look good because, and this is why TKO should not be getting involved in this. There are levels to wrestling booking and wrestling marketing and wrestling promoting that they don't know. Live TV, Raw, SmackDown, these are not your big money makers. These are commercials for your pay-per-view. Hey, Raw is telling you to order, and it used to be order the pay-per-view. Now it's order Peacock or order the ESPN app or what have you. Buy this, buy this. The Raw and SmackDown are commercials for your big shows. So if your commercials don't look good, if you don't have a loud, large, hyped up crowd there, why am I going to spend extra money to order the app to watch your big show when it's going to be a glorified Raw or SmackDown? So if you're going to have crazy prices, have them for the pay-per-views, have them for SummerSlam. And I don't agree with that, but if you're going to do it, have it for your WrestleMania, have it for your SummerSlam and your Royal Rumbles and what have you. But for Raw and SmackDown, you don't have to have. You want to fill the building. You want to fill it up so that it looks good on TV.
I mean, because especially more of the newer wrestlers, maybe they haven't gone through the indie circuit, say like how Sami has or whatever, where they're used to the smaller crowds. A lot of these guys now coming in didn't get a chance to experience a smaller crowd per se. They kind of are used to the bigger shows, and of course, if they don't feel the energy from that crowd, it may be
Exactly.
harder for them to put on a better match.
They have to feel the energy. Plus, they may not know how to play to a smaller crowd. Sami can play up to the cheap seats and big arenas, and he can play to, 3 or 4 rows in a high school gym because he's done it. Uh, Now I'm going to just pick someone out my top of my head. Randy Orton.
Say
Does he?
Javon, say Javon. Javon
Javon.
is
Yeah,
new.
okay, yeah, perfect example because he came up through the NXT system. Does he know how to do that? If he goes in an arena and there are 20 people, does he know how to play to those 20 people? And that's not a knock on Javon. It's not a knock on anyone except TKO.
But again, the title changes. I mean, you could tell there was something as far as AEW changed, but it almost felt like, okay, you gonna change your title? Well, fine, I can change my champion at the same time. It's almost a tit for tat type. I mean, even though it's not,
almost
it was
it's almost like when Darby won the title out of nowhere.
right.
I think it was
Absolutely.
right before WrestleMania.
Right around that time.
Because when was the last time we had 2 major companies change world champions in the same week?
It was
Um,
the same week.
Yeah,
Okay.
same week. Monday Night Wars, maybe.
maybe like when Foley won, and I think maybe was that the same night as Finger Poker Doom
Yes, it
with Hogan
was.
and
I
Nash.
was just going to
So
say that.
yeah,
Yes, it was.
That's right.
So
Lord, and that's what we got to compare it to. The figure poker Doom. I don't even count that.
My
Because
goodness.
when you said Foley, I'm like, there wasn't any WCW title. I forgot about it for a second. Yeah, that piece of crap happened that night. But that was what 20. That was, oh my God, no, 30
that was
years
30
ago.
30
years
years
ago.
ago.
Yeah,
Man, we're old.
Oh my
man,
goodness.
don't remind me. I had a
Oh,
doctor's appointment to remind me of that. So,
oh my gosh.
It's time for me to schedule my colonoscopy also.
hey man, let's not even go to all
Look, you were high earlier. Don't do it again.
No, it's not
No,
about being no. It's I'm old, gray hairs, I got to go do stuff. But yeah, I notwithstanding the whole tit for tat thing, I'm just curious about the booking and where it's headed. Omega and Osprey, okay, makes sense. What are they gonna do with Sami? And I keep going back to Sami. Yeah, they could do Punk versus Cody at SummerSlam. It is a more marketable match. I get that. But where does Sami go for SummerSlam?
well, for SummerSlam, I don't know, but I have a theory of how you can make this work because it's been teased about Sammy going full on heel. Now, if he goes just on a rampage from here on out to where he's fully committed heel, he's fully, attacking Punk or Cody at the time and just doing this to a point to where either Money in the Bank or he wins like a Royal Rumble where he's going to call his shot at Mania, then this could work because this could be the crash out that leads, the crash out that he showed after the match.
Yeah.
If they book it
And that was,
right,
man, that was a very passionate. I mean, that wasn't a promo. That was real. That was
no,
from
that
the
was a
heart.
shoot. That was a
Yeah,
shoot. It
yeah,
felt
that
like.
was a yeah. It
So
felt like
if they book it right, hit this crash out leading all the way up to Rumble or Mania next year,
Mania.
where he gets the title and has a legitimate run. Now we can look back at this moment to be like, you know what? It was brilliant what they did to take the title off of him now, so he could have an even bigger moment
Yeah,
at Mania.
that makes sense.
That's,
And my money would be on Mania because again they're in Riyadh, so that's why I predicted he was going to win it to begin with. So it makes sense.
can't I can't even bet against that. And that is something that I feel like a lot of wrestling fans nowadays don't think about. When something happens like CM Punk winning the title, immediately you're having, oh, this is the greatest thing WWE's ever done. Oh, or this is the dumbest thing WWE's ever done. Learn to pump the brakes, folks. I mean, let's look at what happens on the next show or in probably the next couple of shows after to kind of get an idea on where they're going, where they could go, and let's just see what sometimes you just got to see what happens because something that could I mean like I want to take Daniel Bryan losing the title after beating John Cena at that
Yeah.
SummerSlam. I forget the year. Everyone was celebrating. Then Randy Orton cashes in Money in the Bank. Triple H turns heel. Then you got the Authority going on. Everyone wanted to be like, "Oh, I'm not watching this anymore." But then you take your time with it. You take advantage of the moment, take the emotion, and then you got Yeselmania.
Yeah.
So it all works
and
out.
it did work out. I think it's just gut reaction. People are upset. You're gonna react, but it's how you take that reaction. Don't take that reaction as run with it. Take that reaction. Okay, I'm upset. This is the worst thing they've ever done. Blah blah blah. And then take a minute to breathe, calm down, sit down, watch the next Raw, and see what's going to happen. Okay, it's been a week. Let's see where they go from here. So that's what I'm going to do when I watch Raw. I'm going to sit down and say, let's see where they go from here. Let's see what they do with poor Sami. Um, my other question too, well, it's not really a question, it's a statement. If they are using this crash out to kind of start a new story with Sami, they could really go either way. They could either have him go straight heel all the way to Mania, or they could have him go through a redemption arc because we've got months to go. They could have him go straight heel and then at some point kind of go through a redemption arc, turn face again, and get the crowd support in Saudi. So you can go either way with it. Do you see him winning the title back as a face or as a heel?
Well, I look at it like this: for Sammy, We seen him as a heel, but it was a comic heel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We need to see a serious Sammy.
Yeah.
And I think this could be the start of
Yes.
the serious Sammy. And it really doesn't matter because, you know, crowds like a Philadelphia crowd, a New York crowd, or a Chicago crowd, regardless of who you feel is a face or heel in that, if that crowd is behind that particular wrestler and they just happen to be a heel going into it, I guarantee you that crowd is going to make that, it's going to cheer like they're the face. So it really doesn't matter. The Saudi crowd is still going to cheer Sammy
Yeah.
like he is the face.
And hell, if he does a good enough job, hell, the American crowds are going to cheer him if he even is a heel.
And that's why it depends on what they do at SmackDown, how they
Yeah.
sell the crash out, and how they book it going forward. Like if he gets screwed out of another title shot and another title shot, he gets more and more frustrated until he gets to like a Rumble or something like that, to where, or Elimination Chamber where he gets a title shot, or you know, something to that effect. I think then you can really see, okay, they put some thought into this booking. My only thing is, I'm afraid that a lot of times, especially in the past, like what, 5, 6 years, the writers have done more to push the bloodline and kind of let the other storylines kind of
Yeah.
sort themselves out, as opposed to really writing and booking to what it could be.
Yeah. Learn how to book around it so that the stories kind of, where one story kind of promotes the other. You know, you don't want people to tune in and go, okay, I'm going to watch the beginning of the show to see what the bloodline's going to say, and I'm going to tune out and I'm going to come back at the end at the main event. Watch, you got to give them something to make them want to watch the whole show. And
Right.
then it's fun that you brought the bloodline, because there's that Jacob Fatu tweet where he tweeted out the drop of blood responding to Sammy's promo. Please don't have Sammy join the bloodline. I mean, you know, it was cool and all when he was part of it, but let Sammy do his own thing for now, and let the bloodline do their own thing.
I'd
Let
say
them, you
tease
know,
that. I'd say tease it. Tease
tease it.
Sammy
Okay.
joining the bloodline, but in the
but
end,
not join. But
in
not
the end, he
join.
doesn't join.
Okay, I'm cool with that. If they want to tease it to kind of get you, you know, get you looking in another direction, I get that. Okay.
I mean, hey, you know, he can always tease a match with punk ass Jay, you know.
He's got other problems.
Yeah,
Well,
punk
that's what
ass
I'm
Jay
saying.
got to do LA Knight.
That's what Jacob's new name is for Jay, punk ass Jay. It seems like every time, punk ass Jay.
You know that if they're smart, they're going to make a shirt. They're going to make a
They
punk ass
need
Jay
to.
shirt.
Buy that shirt.
You know, I
Handful of
think I know a
tights.
company that might be able
I
to
tell you,
do that.
handful of tights is going to beat them to it. I get before the end of the weekend. I bet they'll have one up.
They got it. You know what? I would buy that shirt. I mean, there was a time that Jimmy Uso had the Nobody's Bitch shirt. I actually bought that shirt, by the way.
Yeah, I wish that angle lasted longer, because that was just a cool shirt. You know, it was just funny seeing on TV. You know, I don't think the angle lasted long enough.
You know, it didn't last long enough, but it was great while it lasted. But it's like, well, I'm not gonna. You know what? I was gonna make a reference to pie, but I'm just gonna leave that alone.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to having angles just for the sake of promoting T-shirts and merch, if it's a good angle. You know, if it's a good angle and it's entertaining television and it's selling T-shirts, then that's a win-win. So I'm not against that. You know, kind of like with Heath Slater and the "I Got Kids" shirt. You know, the
Or
Heyman
even
guy
back in the
shirt.
day, you know, back to the Attitude Era where you had the Al Snow and the Moppy shirts and stuff like that.
Oh man.
But you know, go ahead, Curtis. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, what a time to be alive.
Yeah, TKO should focus on merch and not ticket prices. But again, they don't know the wrestling business. They know UFC, so they think ticket prices is everything. They don't realize WWE sells more merch than UFC. They have more TV exposure than UFC. Work that, but they're not a wrestling company.
Yeah, it feels like AOL Time Warner taking over WCW type vibe.
Exactly. And their answer to everything was just throw more NWO at it until people got sick and tired of NWO.
And I think we're getting that now with more Bloodline. Throw more Bloodline at it.
Well, I'm not against throwing more Bloodline at it if it's a new story. It's a new Bloodline story. And so far, we're seeing a new story. We're not seeing to just get band back together and pick up from where we left off. We're seeing a whole new story. Jacob is an interesting factor, especially with the whole Punk ass Jay and how he's doing with the Usos and having to clean up the Usos messes and how Roman is showing more respect to Jacob. And then the whole thing with Solo, it's interesting to me, so I'm cool with it. It's a different version of the Bloodline.
All
As
without
long as it, go ahead, Curtis.
all without without Paul Heyman, and which definitely shows how much Roman has really improved in his promos
Oh yeah.
because prior to that, leaps and bounds difference.
Well, I saw I think it may have been Unreal. It was some interview where they were talking to one or both of the Usos, and they were saying, "Hey, the tribal chief character you see on TV, that's the real Joe. That's the real Roman, because he used to pick on us and boss us around when we were kids, and that's how he really is." They let it's like someone told him, "Hey, stop trying to worry about a script. Stop trying to be a character. Go out there and be yourself. Just be a prick. Take your personality and just turn them to 100." It's almost as if he had a cousin or something who got very popular doing that.
I mean, who knows? Sometimes family can help you out, but
Exactly.
I do believe that Heyman probably picked up where Dusty was in NXT as far as helping them with their promos and whatnot. I think Heyman has probably do it because if you look at other wrestlers on the roster on Raw, you can see their promos are getting better.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So, but it's going to be interesting to see, especially between now and SummerSlam, and best because I do feel, and I know I've said this with other pay per views, but I do feel that based on I know we got Saturday Night Main Event next week or the week after that, I can't recall.
That is next week. I almost forgot about that. Yeah,
Next
Oh
week, yeah,
man.
next week.
MSG.
That
Yeah,
and then SummerSlam coming like almost right behind that. That's going to tell. I think that's to tell the tale of if Triple H is back on his long term booking. That's going to tell the tale of what's going to happen at Mania,
yeah.
based on what happens at SummerSlam. So it's going to be interesting to see. You guys tell us your thoughts. What do you feel is going to happen, or how do you feel about the title changes that have occurred both in WWE and AEW? Be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below, share with everybody. To kind of put a bow on everything, it's interesting to see the changes, even though there's a visceral reaction, especially with Sami losing after 9 days. But we just, to your point, Curtis, we just got to give them time to see, are they truly cooking with high grease, or they just trying to feed us the same old cold bowl of cereal? So, and that's why I say, hey, you guys let us know. What do you think about this whole situation? Leave a comment below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hey, you never know what your comment may end up on the show. And of course, be sure to get the merch at Handful of Tights, because why, Curtis?
Because the best way to win is with a handful of tights.
You know it. And besides, you can get merch like the Stone Cold shirt here.
That is an awesome
that's
shirt.
a
I
very
love that
nice shirt.
Oh, that's incredible.
Of course, the craftsmanship, if you will, was very, and the design was very cool and everything. But but again.
Oh, one other thing, and I almost forgot, but I do want to bring it out. And I hope I get this name correct, because when people have, usernames, sometimes it's kind of hard to read. Rohit Singh Chauhan 6789. I'm going to put it up on the screen so you guys can see it. But I want to send him a shout out. Respond back, because you said kill Chris Jericho on the Push Berry Kill episode. So I'm curious, if you're going to kill Jericho, then who are we pushing and who we're bearing? So respond back and let us know. I mean, I get why he said what he said. He says he wants to see other talented wrestlers. I guess he's saying, well, he said that Jericho is overrated, which I don't agree with, but Jericho is an older star, so I see wanting to push newer stars instead of him. So I won't agree with you saying Jericho's overrated, but everyone's entitled to their opinion. But yeah, he's an older star. He's had his time in the spotlight. And if you want to release him and bury other guys, I get it, but let us know who.
Yeah, definitely let us know. And besides, maybe you have your own ideas for Push Berry Kill, and you want us to react to it or give our rankings of maybe 3 other wrestlers you think of. So hey, just be sure to like and subscribe. And like I said, we're gonna be able to throw those comments out there for you, that you leave for us. So But with that being said, I'm here with the crew as always with Clinton Curtis, and we'll check you guys out next time. Ringside Right Now.
Hip-hop straight, stalking my prey. RKO from anywhere, any time of the day. Witness the evolution. Get down and stay down's the resolution. Legacy, one of the best to do it. Gotta